All right, Gregory, we are back, and we're going to talk about the World Series here in our third and final segment. You tell me why the series ain't going back to Houston.
I'm sick, Chris. I am sick to my stomach at the fact that I am nothing but convinced that the Washington Nationals are going to win the World Series. It stinks. I hate everything about it. I think that it's awful. I mean, it honestly couldn't have come at a worse time with Bryce Harper leaving, going to a rival, and now here we are. The team's better than they've ever been. They're just absolutely unbeatable, taking out the vaunted Dodgers. The Cardinals, and now we're here, and they're beating a 107 win team, smashing them, just smashing them, and it's utterly terrifying to me that I'm going to have to listen to the 3.5 Nationals fans that exist in this world talk about this. It's awful, and the reason they're going to win, Chris, is this. It's one of those things that you just know is going to happen. You know it's going to go wrong. It's like if you... I'm trying to put it in the best terms possible.
Please do.
You take a heavy favorite in like a football game, and it's the first quarter, and it's like the first drive, and they throw an incompletion. You just go, this is done. I can just turn this off. I have no shot at ever winning this game.
Not their day. This is a not their series for the Astros, is what you're saying.
I think the Astros just completely... are exhausted from the slugfest that was the Yankees series. I mean, I know they took the Yankees down, in only 5 games. No, 6 games. They won 6 games. In 6 games. But that was a grueling, hard-fought series, and I think that they're just spent. And because the Nationals just dispatched the Cardinals so quickly, they got to recoup a lot of their energy. Plus, I mean, the Astros... Their 2 biggest weapons in Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander both got absolutely rocked by this Nationals lineup. I mean, I know we're looking at Game 3 and it's Greinke versus Anibal Sanchez, but it's not like Zach Greinke's been some sort of shutdown pitcher in the postseason. He struggled early in that game against the Yankees. Now, they got lucky and only gave up, I think, 1 run, and then Greinke went, I think, six and some change in that game. Keeping it at a 1-run game. But that Yankees team was flawed, and right now the Nationals are just seeing and hitting everything. Juan Soto is an absolute monster.
Yes.
Rendon's been nothing but great. Howie Kendrick somehow rose from the dead. Zimmerman's still around. I mean, even Kurt Suzuki is hitting home runs for this team. I know it was only 1, but it was the most important one last night that broke the tie. I think the Astros, as talented as they are, I think... the Nationals have to win 2 out of 3 at home here, and I don't see how it's not going to happen.
Yeah, as a Phillies fan, by the way, the Philadelphia Phillies made a couple of great hires this week, bringing Joe Girardi and Brian Barber as the new director of amateur scouting. Excited about both of those. As a Phillies fan, I am not excited about having to face this Nationals team for the next decade with guys like Soto and Victor Robles in the lineup. I do disagree with you in this case. I just think that the Astros pitching staff is going to overwhelm whatever it is of the Nationals. I think the Nationals got hot, went off a little too early, and things are going to find water's going to find its level, basically. You mentioned this upcoming game. Zach Greinke against Anibal Sanchez. Yes, you said Greinke hasn't been great. But how can you not like Greinke over Anibal Sanchez? And, we talk about Vegas always being pretty close to right. Well, over at Bovada, they have the Astros -1.5 in the run line. So,
what are the odds on it?
Sorry, let me bring that up. I have that written down. The odds are to win, you have the Astros -137 and the Nationals +117. And just overall series, the Nationals -275 and the Stros +220 at Bovada.
man, you want to talk about value? I know if I did it, it would jinx and the Nationals would sweep. But that plus 220 on the Astros to win 4 of the next 5 games is, three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, 3 of the next 5 or 4 of the next 5 games. Certainly, I had to really think about that
Yep.
one. 4 of the next 5 games at plus 220 is certainly something you should consider if you're over there at Bovada. But I mean, even the Astros being the run line favorites is crazy, and I know that's based off of Greinke versus Sanchez and their careers and how they've pitched this year. But there's just something. There's something. It's one of those. There's something about this Nationals team, and that's just the way that things play out. It's just how things work in the sports universe. It's unexplainable. It's just how it has to be almost, that the Nationals are going to miss out on their face of their franchise for the last decade, only to finally get over the hump and win a series and now head into a potential World Series title.
I'm just not with you. I look at this Astros pitching staff, and yeah, Cole struggled, and this staff has struggled a little bit early in the Washington series, but they're going to get another shot. Washington's got to beat Garrett Cole again. They're going to have to. They have to beat Greinke tonight. This is an incredible pitching staff, and I think at the end of the day, it tends to be hot pitching that wins in baseball, and I think there's still time for this Stros staff to get hot.
Yeah, there definitely is. They definitely have a chance to do that, and they're going to need to if they have any opportunity to make their way back in this game. But in this series, I just think that momentum is such a killer. It's such a killer for this. The Nationals are just rolling. Like ever since they took down the Dodgers in that Game 5, they have done nothing but just smash. I mean, there wasn't one close game with Houston or with St. Louis really. They outside of the game against Cole on Monday night, or sorry, not Monday night. Jeez, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Tuesday night when it started. That game was 5-4, but last night was just an utter laugher. Now, I also did send messages after they got to around 10, 11, 12 runs to friends of mine. Said, yeah, get all those runs out now, Nats, so when you go back to Washington, there's nothing for you. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, how many times can guys pitch on short rest? I mean, Cole pitches, Tuesday, and now you're looking at he's probably going to have to go again on Sunday. Even Verlander on a shorter rest has not been good in the recent history for Houston. It's going to be really tough for them to climb out of this severe hole they dug themselves.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I haven't seen it announced officially. Is Verlander going to pitch Game 4? Because I'd have to think he is, right?
I mean, I would have to assume that he's going to be the guy. And now you're talking about, if Game 4 is on Sunday or Saturday, Wednesday, yeah, I mean, that's not even 3 days rest. Well, no, actually, that.
Yeah, it has to be 3 days rest.
Yeah,
yes,
it would have to be 3 days rest. But it's. I mean, after the way he looked in that game, and giving up those early runs has been the killer for them in both of these games, and Verlander just doesn't. The short rest Verlander isn't the same as regular Verlander, and he's underperformed in the playoffs in his career on short rest. But I would assume he'd have to be the guy. He would have to be, because you're not gonna get it back to 2-1 and roll out like Wade Miley.
Right.
I don't see that happening.
I couldn't agree with you more. It has to be. This is a three-man pitching staff for the rest of the series. Cole would go in Game 5, Greinke in Game 6, and Verlander again in Game 7, with presumably everyone available other than, I guess, Greinke would be the only guy who wasn't available, depending on if he pitched the night before or not. Yeah, you're not going Wade Miley. You're not going the Jose, what's his name? I forget the start.
Urquidy.
Thank you. I trust this pitching staff. I really do. And honestly, I just don't want to concede that the Nationals are going to be the World Series champions. That's the worst of all the worst of all timelines.
It stinks. It absolutely stinks. But I think the city of Philadelphia has beat this into me over the course of my lifetime and my time as a Philadelphia sports fan that we just can't have nice things all the time in all of our sports, even when we think we're supposed to. It never seems to work out for us in the long run.
Well,
And
it's hard to line up 4 sports teams that are very good at the same time.
that is true. Now, I'm not even talking about 4. Let's have 2. Let's have 2 really good at the same time. 2 actual legitimate title contenders at the same time.
Well, you told me that the Flyers are a virtual lock to win the Stanley Cup.
It's a good point.
So
it's a good point.
Them coupled with the Sixers gives the 2 you were clamoring for there. This is yet another way you're wrong. Another solid win for me. Nothing else to add.
I don't necessarily know if that's the case.
I agree.
But
I think it is.
Of course you do. You always think that's the case. To me, there's just it's Philadelphia. There's something about the city. But as we talk about virtual locks over at Bovada, Flyers are plus 3,500 to win the Stanley Cup. I'm just saying. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on there.
How much would you gamble on that if you were to dabble in that pool?
I mean, future betting with anything, I think to really maximize your value, you have to put a little bit extra than what you would normally bet on there. Throwing $100 to win $3,500 on the Flyers winning the Stanley Cup and ultimately jinxing your way out of the playoffs in a first round exit because you try to get cocky and bet on them. That's probably what you would do. But that's with any future. I think that it's not worth it. Like, I mean, it depends on what your gambling, prowess is and how much money you're willing to spend in those situations. Like throwing $5 on that, like I don't know what that pays necessarily, but it's not exactly what I'm. $5 doesn't do anything for me if I'm talking about a future bet.
There was a lot of words, and I don't know that it.
Well, I was trying to figure out what $5 would pay on 35 plus 3,500 odds, and I didn't figure it out fast enough.
You need $100 to win 3,500. So 10 is 350. So 5 is $1.75.
Yeah, that's not too bad actually.
That's quick math. And I don't want to brag, but I was a mathlete. Yet another way I'm the champion. I think I'm
pretty sure I was a mathlete too.
5 wins for me in this show. That's unprecedented.
Sometimes I forget that I was a mathlete. Let me tell you.
7th grade, quick math, highest grade in my school. Shouldn't have been. Really a testament to the lackluster education of St. Mary's, more so than how good I was at math. But a win's a win.
I was a reading Olympics all-star.
Well, you're a nerd. We've established that.
Very, very true, Chris. I'm about to nerd out on some Call of Duty tonight.
No, I'm excited. I don't know if I'm going to get in. I imagine I'm going to get to it this weekend, but I'm excited. I'm more excited about the Outer Worlds than I am Call of Duty. Nerdy in its own right. But updates on those when we get back next week. Until then, I've been Chris Horwedel. He's been Greg Crone. This has been You're Wrong and Here's Why, and I thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.